not even together. Like, I just showed up, and apparently the entire room was booked out by StarCraft people, so we joined them. Anyway, it slowly comes over at the end, and I can't even remember. Something happened with the rice. I can't remember because, well, usually you have a good bit of fun and you drink some soju at Korean barbecue. I don't think I've ever quite drank that much at a Korean barbecue, because I remember Winter went to pay for our table. And Winter went to pay for our table, and he came back and he said, "Guys, there's only 3 of us on this table." And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So how did we drink 14 bottles of soju?" And we're like, "What? No, that's gotta be a mistake." And then we, then you do that awkward moment of like counting back and being like, "Well, we had the first round, and the second," and then we're like, "Oh my god!" And then when I stood up, I realized how drunk I was, and at that point, I think I was feeding slowly rice. It was crazy. It was crazy. Thank you so much, FanTaSy, for the 2-month resub. Welcome back to the family. Good to have you. Much appreciated. And as we have to the bottom right-hand side, our blue Protoss player herO up against the red Terran in the top left, FanTaSy. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Do we need a hero to save him? That's my own part of Bohemian Rhapsody. The StarCraft 2 edit. Workers slowly getting into gas here. As herO is going to go Cybercore before the expansion, which is pretty much what everyone does nowadays. Nowadays, no low ground gateway though. Builds the first pylon here to block a Reaper and so on. So no low ground gateway means that it should be pretty tough to get the Adept across the map in time to hit the command center. And to slow that down too much. Cybercore finishes. There is a proxy up on the top side, mind you, so Stargate's super fast in the top side of the map. Well, as FanTaSy goes for that Hellion build again, he might be in some trouble, but it looks like it's not the case. And as he does just go into a reactor on the barracks, no factory yet, building a bunker on the low ground too, so being very safe in that regard. Though again, that doesn't help him defend the main. There's that second Rax on the way up, so it's actually going to be a marine-based defense here. Okay, that can get pretty interesting. Is that coming in for the donation? SB Cryogen. Sorry, I just had to double check your name there. SB Cryogen comes in with the $30. It says, "Enjoy the food, Wardy, and thanks for streaming." Can we get our boy Cryogen, or our girl potentially Cryogen, our fellow viewer Cryogen in the chat? No need to make it about gender. Thank you so much for the $30 donation. So generous. Can we have some love in the chat, please? Thank you so very much. Thank you. I came out of nowhere. See, this is where Twitch chat's like, "See, what do we told you? If you sell out, you make money." Thank you so much for the $30. I really do appreciate it. As the Oracle flies into the main base here, a couple of SCVs already going down. 3-4 workers. The problem with the Marines is they're just not easily in the right position, right? They're pretty slow moving between the bases at this stage. No stim or anything to stim after this or so. And the stim pack now does start up. Blink on the way down the Twilight Council. So just a pretty typical follow-up here from here. We're going straight into that blink. And obviously gives them a lot of map control to work with from there. So FanTaSy again, that setup, getting that ready to roll. So Reaper coming around the top side as well, also looking to see what else is happening. Yeah, thank you so much for that $30 donation. Really do appreciate it. Reaper trying to get across the map, looking for some information right now. So coming down the right hand side, Oracle is going to be able to pick up a kill. Reaper dies. And his blink is coming up to being about halfway done. herO is another gateway just going to morph in as well into a wall gate. Yeah, hero's going to start building up those stalkers. He's even getting a third base already. Now, obviously, FanTaSy had a fast second Rax, which means the stim pack's pretty quick here. He needs that starport ASAP if he wants to get up into Medivacs to really utilize those Marines with the stim. Looks as though he's honestly going to be a little bit late in that regard, though, so it's going to be a little bit tough. Oh, that's a nice catch on the Oracle, though. Oracle couldn't go this way because of Marines and got caught by Marines going this way. It's a dangerous position here because there's no dead airspace that really saves you. So herO getting a little bit overzealous for himself. FanTaSy here in this decided match is looking to be the first Terran player through to the round of 8, by the way. 2 Protoss already guaranteed in the form of Zest and Deer. Sue representing Zerg. And of course now FanTaSy or herO will be joining them as well to make up the first 4 players, the first half of the quarterfinals. Single Marine is just poking its way through that pylon. A few of the Stalkers coming across. Just pick up the Marine. Marine does go down again. More Stalkers coming out over the left-hand side, and still looking to potentially poke through in towards the natural there. Supply Trooper drops down to the left. Again, just making sure, like, just getting some damage done right. Loses 1 Stalker, gets a couple SCVs. Obviously, that could have been a bit better, perhaps. Phoenix flies through the Stalkers. Don't look too eager to kind of blink in after it just yet, and they're just going to be chilling back for another moment. But still more Stalkers coming across the map and 4 more gates. Gotta remember, this 3rd base was up nice and early, so the economy of herO is going to start really getting up then. He's going to be at that point where he's going to want a lot of war pins to deal with that bio force, so a ton of units in that regard. Obviously going to be very important. What's up, AO8 coming in with the 15-month resub. Thank you so very much. Get some love in the chat for AO8 and the 15 months. Thanks so much for being here for a year and a quarter. A year and a quarter. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it, as we do see Marines backing away. This force, it's going to survive as the Stalkers are kind of hunting it down. So blink, that's a Marauder. I mean, anything you can get right at, you know, 1 Marauder, it's 1 less. Very important unit, actually, that kind of joins the fray there. So FanTaSy, you know, a minute or so ago was really kind of up like almost double army supply. Now, as obviously the numbers increase, being up double would not be the same, but it was kind of like a 20-ish difference. Now it's 16 or so. It's just those gateways coming into play for herO, who's also now getting +2 armor and +1 attack, so double forging it up, while FanTaSy is still on the single engineering bay. And it's just the effect of that economy. The 3rd base so early on, 65 probes is working wonders at the moment, and I actually kind of really struggle to see what FanTaSy does here, because, man, I mean, his 3rd CC just feels so late. I feel like FanTaSy is going to have 1 attack, and if this doesn't work, then this game really is going to get out of hand. I guess the thing is as well, though, herO, while he does have a lot of economy, isn't really teching up at all beyond upgrades. So it is still very gateway heavy, and that means that generally FanTaSy's army should do okay trading out here. Let's see what happens as those Zealots charge in, pulls back away. Oh, the Widow Mines are going to be disgusting. The Widow Mines get really good connections. Look at all those Zealots battered and bruised. Well, that's going to be the one problem. And obviously this is as 1-1 finishes for FanTaSy, and herO's still only on a +1 armor upgrade, so no attack upgrade. And then of course he's primarily on those with Stalkers at the moment. FanTaSy was targeting the Nexus for a while, but decides to start going and dealing some damage to those Zealots. He knows the importance of breaking through those already, and man, again, herO's army supply is just dropping fast. A hallucination flies in, tries to set off some friendly fire, doesn't quite work out as well as I think he was hoping. More Stalkers warping in, I mean, that's not going to work out. Extra Zealots now coming into play too. FanTaSy was kind of deciding if he wanted to target down a pylon or not. Now we see Liberator sieging up 2. Stalkers will generally want to try and focus those down. Gets rid of the first, but man, it's costing him quite a few Stalkers just because of how low health they are. I feel like FanTaSy hasn't had bio reinforcements for a while. They are on the way across the map. Nice Lord Marine, by the way. All these epic fights are happening, and he's just here chilling like, I'm gonna kill this Stargate. FanTaSy finds a pile on the top right side. Wow. I feel like this was the one opportunity for FanTaSy. Like, I feel like if he doesn't win the game in this attack, it becomes a lot more difficult for him. Wow, that was a nice shutdown on the medevac that had the units inside. Widow Mines again, though, going to come into play. The thing is, if those Zealots die to the Widow Mines, the Marauders then do very well afterwards. Against Stalkers, even if they are a little bit outnumbered. Just needs a few more units here, really. See Liberator sieging up again, and it really is, again, just the Stalkers don't do that well. +2 armor in play now, so Zealots are a bit tankier. FanTaSy is really all into just rallying across the map and killing his opponent. Only just now did he drop down Armory, 2nd Engineering Bay, and the Ghost Academy. So only just now getting that going. Dark Shrine from herO 2, definitely a way to bring himself back into this. Obviously, again, quite a bit of damage taken. A lot of units lost. Again, that was, again, probably the best time in FanTaSy could have gone for when he had the double upgrades against one. That was absolutely his, I think, his best chance, because I think 2 minutes later from there, suddenly, you know, +2 is done, you're actually behind on upgrades as FanTaSy. Your opponent just has too much gateway, because at that point you've just been able to warp in so much. This is so nice. He kills the pylon, the DTs get cancelled. So the DTs now have to warp in over here, obviously delayed as well. It's going to take forever for them to come into play. Although, not that FanTaSy has any detection up and running anyways. Scans for an observer. It's going to take a few moments. Probably waiting for these ghosts before he goes across the map again. He still hasn't started +2 upgrades. Drop from the main is going to reveal the Dark Shrine, hence why the missile turrets have now started, it would seem. It's a really nice kill. No Dark Templar warp-ins defensively. No more offensively either, so it really gives FanTaSy a lot more freedom across the map. He has EMPs anyways, actually, so if he really didn't have scans, he could have just EMP'd the DTs. One did sneak its way into the natural. That's where the next few SCVs are going to fall from. 11 workers go down for FanTaSy, but man, is that army supply just crazy. Remember, those DTs are a reasonable amount of gas you invest into now as herO. As herO actually gets supply blocked as well by units around the map picking off pylons. FanTaSy's army is going to be crazy when he has extra ghosts in play, because we are still purely on gateway units. There's not even Archons being brought into play. Okay, we have an Immortal. Yeah, I mean, EMPs really are just so powerful against this composition. Unfortunately, the Widow Mines there kind of ran ahead and FanTaSy was not paying attention. That was a bit costly. These Liberators are a little bit late and a little bit disjointed. The first one got shot down pretty quick. EMPs were really good on top of this, though, as you see the Warp Prism just coming in to be the savior. Actually kind of missing a few medevacs here, so no healing on the Terran army. Means it might be a little bit tougher for FanTaSy to truly make this work out. And there's a couple of medevacs showing up again, good EMPs. Liberator's already sieged up and they're just taking so long to go down. They're getting so much damage done. That Immortal is going to be saved just by the Warp Prism, but there's a few other units stem forwards. I mean, just looking to try and take advantage of the concussive shots, but the Warp Prism can micro. The Stalkers have blink as well. Still chasing. Still going across the right hand side. herO decides to gather up. Scan finds an observer. I mean, it's still just a huge army supply advantage for FanTaSy. He's about to hit 2-2 as well, which is obviously a big game changer also, evening up those upgrades. So maybe that's why he's decided to start being a bit more aggressive now that he's going to have those upgrades in play. The pylon gets shot down. Here we're going up to the 5th base on the top right hand side. Zald's warping into the main. Again, this would be so much more annoying if there was Dark Templar in play. Obviously not the case. The Widow Mine literally just blows up on a ghost. I hate that about Widow Mines. It's so silly. EMP up the ramp. Didn't find force fields on the sentries. Now he will. So it's only these force fields. And that's going to be about it. So sentries EMP'd out energy. He's going to see the bio sitting behind the force fields for a few moments of time. But as the force fields fade away, access through to those Zalds is gained. And again, FanTaSy's army supply is just ridiculous in comparison to his opponents. There's not enough Zealots here. That one lone Immortal has seen some things, but will not see any more. Sentry goes down. The last few reinforcements coming in. They should be game. A DT actually gets brought back into play. Did we really have a Dark Shrine rebuilt? You did. I guess you don't really expect another Dark Shrine after you've killed the first, but especially not when herO was in a bit of a tough spot, right? And it's really quite the investment to build another Dark Shrine here. Another scan, another DT dies. EMP clips the Zelds as well. Hits the Stalkers. So much bio. herO's going to stay in until the very, very end, but the very, very end really is not far away now. This third Nexus, which survived quite a bit of pressure earlier as well. It was actually a tough decision to make for FanTaSy whether he targeted the third Nexus or didn't. I think he realized that just continuing to kill units would never allow FanTaSy to, never allow herO to get back into a decent number, that kind of mass units that you need as the gateway player. So continuing to trade that, I think, has turned out very well for him. And yeah, the third base survived, but I think he got a lot out of letting the third base survive, even if it did Stay up. Whenever EMP Hazards warp in, that's just devastating, of course, and it's one of those games where you try and make it exciting, but let's be realistic, what's exciting about FanTaSy? Winning the game 5 minutes ago and herO not leaving? Not really a lot. Stalkers are slowly picking their way through Widow Mines in the background, but I mean, 34 army supply, herO really will just not leave this game. FanTaSy has like 4 bases as well. It's not like FanTaSy's like 2 bases all in or something. He might just eventually run out of steam. herO does have bases up the top side. He's lost his natural expansion. FanTaSy's now on his way up there, and herO will give it up. GG. FanTaSy picks up game number 1. Physics coming from. Bottom right hand side, our blue Protoss player here is herO. Up against the red Terran top left, FanTaSy. Additional pylon with the 11-month resub. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. You're doing well. So close to that big 1 year. As we do see pretty early probe from herO here, so obviously some potential there for proxy Geddon, but may not be either. Could also just be a little bit of a slower way to go about things. SCV gonna be nibbled away at there. God damn it, the stream delay, and now I get to watch you guys laugh at me as that was kind of funny. That really was. Corona Boy, dude, what's up? Not seen your name in a long time. Thanks for dropping by. Good to see you, dude. Hope life is treating you well. Lanzana drops down here. Probe just trying to block in the end. It's just an early probe scout, nothing more, nothing crazy. Reaper about to finish up. Command Center then is on the way down. So is the Nexus, but it was a Cybernetics core first. A pretty fast Adept. Now FanTaSy did build a pretty fast bunker in the last game, if I'm not mistaken, so we'll see if that's going to be the case again. He takes a second gas. No sign of, I mean, he went second racks very quick last game, but no sign of that just yet. Let's follow the Reaper in over the next couple of moments. And we've seen that Reaper dropping down. Going to be heading up into the main in the next few moments. Adapt is going to shade. Still just now good grenade. Pop some probes around. So a lot of probes pulled, and now they're not mine. I'm not sure what hero's doing here. And a huge overpull anyways for just trying to turn the Reaper away a little bit. The command center is going to finish up shortly. The Adept is about to arrive in, so there is the delay. We'll see how easily FanTaSy can fight out of this. It is just the 1 racks into a factory, so no second racks and fast stim this time around. Second SCV gets picked off as well. Meanwhile, the Reaper just still looking to see what's going on. That is going to be a defense though. A few Marines coming down. It's just 1 Adept across the map. It's not that crazy. The Reaper will get a third probe kill here actually. So the Reaper's not exactly doing bad for itself just yet. Or so far. So it actually makes up a little bit for that damage across the map. It's always one of the things, right? You send your first Adept across the map quickly. Obviously you don't have it at home to defend the Reaper. Hence why the probes were pulled before. And again, a little bit of lost mine time does hurt a little bit as well though. Adapt picks off the Reaper then down on the bottom. As we are going to see Widow Mine racks coming through. So a little bit of a medevac Widow Mine drop and then into the extra racks so you can start setting up into stim and those upgrades to kind of follow up into the next stage of the game, right? 2 probes go down on the bottom right side. Tell you what, that Reaper really did deal damage, didn't it? It's had a hell of a time. And the Hellion as well that came in too. The Reaper obviously helps to be a distraction for that. Great observing, Wardy. We didn't see the Hellion at all. I didn't even know there was a Hellion on the map, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, it's a hotel stream. I'm on vacation. You guys can't complain a day. I'm sorry. Complaining denied. 2 more gates dropping down. And as this Raven comes through from FanTaSy, gonna be obviously gives them a lot of options going into the next stages of the game, sort of what pushes you can set up with. So What a Mind Drop decides to turn back around, went up the right hand side, comes around the come back around. herO in the chat saying doing good, glad to see the channel's booming. Yeah, it really is, man. We're doing pretty well lately. Like I said, good to see you. Always nice to see old faces in the chat. It's always nice. Especially old faces that were such a positive part of the community in the past. You know, there's some old faces I say, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, you know, I wish you'd never come back. But herO's not one of them. Awkward if you were. I'd really just be digging myself my own grave, wouldn't I? Ooh, how did that Stalker reach that? Wow. That Stalker was on his tippy toes trying to reach that medevac, and he just about found it. Just about at the very end. Alright, well, as we have a couple more forges dropping into play, herO will get those. Upgrades are rolling shortly. He's up to those 3 bases. Again, it's really this push with the Raven and full energy Raven that's going to be dangerous. FanTaSy not sure if it's going to be a 3rd CC or 4th and 5th racks yet. Probably expecting a 3rd CC as he moves out. It's a very tough map to commit to a 4th and 5th racks on because it's a very large map, so rallying across isn't exactly great. His main success here will most likely be in the form of the first push with the Raven and the upgrades, etc. The Raven abilities coming down and trying to make something happen from there as the factory going to move off attack lap, move to the side and drop down a reactor. So we're going to swap the add-ons here as we're going to be seeing a 3rd CC coming up in the main. Tank on the main base going to unsiege and move elsewhere. Now these Blink Stalkers obviously designed to try and slow this attack down. The big thing for FanTaSy is he absolutely has to take care of this Raven and letting it hang back a little while before bringing it across. Really just making sure the Stalkers can't blink in, kill it off, or kill off the Raven then blink back. And he sort of moves along those lines. How these tanks are even sieging. I'm really being very cautious about this. Now the tank push with the Ravens on this map can be deadly if the tank's positioned here. Obviously cuts off reinforcements coming in across this little pathway. That's why I would expect FanTaSy. I expect FanTaSy to head towards the 3rd base ramp more than the natural ramp. Obviously the natural ramp has these rocks on it as well that you don't really want to have to deal with, so this ramp is a bit wider, a bit easier to attack into. More Stalkers warping in as the 2 medevacs coming out over to the left. In the end, FanTaSy doesn't do much with this attack at all. He is going to send the Raven, I think, off on a mission to auto-turret up the natural. But yeah, quite passive from FanTaSy, who has a 3rd CC ready. I'll be moving into the position in the next few moments. So he's going to get that 3rd base rolling now. And kind of go from there. +2 attack and +2 armor on the double forge in the main base. Another scan dropping down. This hallucination comes around the top. The other forge in the natural. 3 probes dropping. That's just the auto turrets coming into play. 2 auto turrets, 4 probes killed. There's going to get a very close to getting a pylon as well. And the Raven now in the back of the main. I feel like these zealots were warped in very late. You know what I mean? As you're going to see a couple more probes under fire there. Stalker's taking damage as well. They'll just blink out, obviously realizing the danger. 2 medevacs going to load up, coming around the top side, and as Temple Archives is about to complete our TT upgrades from herO, just continuing on and along as well. Psystorm. Chrono boosted. Yeah, again, I'm still kind of surprised that FanTaSy decided just to back away rather than seeing how he could trade out. Our tank's going to unsiege, relocate, and again, just a lot of setting up on this third base at the moment now. Certain things like upgrades are definitely going to be in herO's favour. Currently coming up towards 2-2 already. herO already getting towards that +2/+2. And even FanTaSy though back at home dropping a fusion core, so if he goes very Liberator heavy, which the fusion core obviously suggests, going to advanced ballistics. Liberator, if you're a bit more Liberator heavy, upgrades don't matter as much because the Protoss can't force fight with an upgrade advantage, and of course the Liberators don't really care as much about upgrades either, so it's a lot less about kind of the bio hitting the Protoss army. Now Protoss army is coming across the map a lot. I mean, hero's about to be maxed out, but it's a very like weak army in terms of being maxed out, right? Yes, he's got a few storms, and yes, he's got a few immortals, but there's a lot of zealots and stalkers, so a lot of gateway units here against. I mean, just look at the tech of this army, right? A lot of Widow Mines, tanks as well. The Marines got shut down as they dropped in here, but we'll try and do a little bit more. The cannon will force them away to the side. Not going to be too successful. We're going to see FanTaSy is going to be under attack, but I mean, just the wall off here is obviously going to help a lot. The Widow Mines behind it did a fair amount too. The initial storms were good. The next storm was even better. There's one storm remaining on a single high temple that has energy left. This herO, he's going to kill the third CC there. Now there is another CC that's just finished up in this position, so you can still look to use this. FanTaSy's already lost 14 workers though. That CC is going to lift and it's not going to go to the low ground, right? Really? Where's it going? I mean, the more obvious thing to do would be to land it in the third base location. It's just flying around at the moment. The Marines over here trying to see what's up. The two medevacks on this right hand side haven't been able to do much either. All the turrets in the main will help to get a few probes at least, so it's just multi-pronged aggression at the moment here out of FanTaSy, trying to get something done. Again, slowing down that fourth base especially is very important so far, I think. Now advanced ballistics on the way, but again, herO seems to have put himself in a pretty strong spot with this push forwards now. I quite like his position at the moment. Seems pretty good for him. And 3 more Liberators coming in. Zealots and Stalkers just pulling back. herO's about to be maxed out again. The macro on that Protoss here is absolutely crazy. Just again how fast he reached that initial max. Look at this army supply graph. You can see herO. Typically Protoss is a bit behind, then he evens up, and he's just like boom. This must have been like a big supply block or so from FanTaSy, because that was definitely, I mean, you're not meant to flatline on army production as a Terran player like that, right? I don't even know, for that's like a whole minute or so. What do you do for a whole minute that isn't, what do you do for a whole minute that you don't produce units for, right? It's not like you're saving up money for something, so yeah, really a bit of a mistake there. He does target down a high tempo with this drop. This felt like a bit of a haphazard drop, right? Just sort of, I want to kill it. I want to, well, try and pull you back, and I'm going to drop in, and I mean, there was just no saving the drop, right? The medevacs got targeted pretty quick. The Stalkers were quick to get in position. High Templars now in 2 different Warp Prisms, and also some trilling through the backside of the map, and well, in terms of dealing with those, you're really, again, just relying on the Liberator positioning more than anything else. To make this work, you're going to see Stalkers blinking up towards the upper left-hand side. Back at home, Fleet Beacon dropping, Colossus in production. herO doesn't even need to attack in just yet, he just needs to hang back for a little bit. Hold out a little bit longer. Because his position's only getting better. And with a Fleet Beacon especially, it means he can get Tempest up so he can actually deal with the Liberators. So even those are not going to be a massive problem. FanTaSy getting another 4th base up. Obviously his 4th base before had to become the 3rd. As that 3rd base did die to that big push from herO that put him into this lead. Obviously FanTaSy, as he goes towards maxing out, it's still possible for FanTaSy to win a big fight and to turn this game around a bit, but as it stands at the moment, herO's going to have a bank to work with as well, so it's going to have to be a really good fight. Liberator's getting good damage done, mind you. A couple kills over here and kills elsewhere as well. Picking away at that economy of our Protoss player. There's a drop waiting to get back into action on the left-hand side. There isn't much defending that 4th base, so this could definitely maybe force herO to turn around a little bit. And this Marine is about to see the army, so knowing that's out of position, that should instantly be this army moving forwards. There's no reinforcements available. 200 out of 200. I don't know if you can attack into here as herO either. Or maybe you go up the third base ram. That really would suck. Yeah, obviously FanTaSy's not quite in position to deal with that. He really needs to move that drop in though. Like, this is just wasted potential. Now he's going to start moving it through. Took a while though, and at this point now recall is available, and Stalkers have a nice little blink up there. Again, it's going to abuse that position. This fourth base might just go down. I actually think it is just going to go down. Meanwhile, because the... Oh my god, because the Stalkers are blinking up, he sends the Vikings in. He's going to kill the Colossus. Oh my god, herO, what's happening? He's just dropped like 30 supply. This Bioforce here will have to turn around as a few Zealots were able to warp in due to the dying Colossus. No longer maxed out. Wow, what a moment or two from FanTaSy. Loses 14 SCVs, but kills the Colossus. That's huge as well. I mean, that's just nice because now there's only one thing for those Vikings to focus on, and that's the Tempests. Wow, that drop did exactly what it wanted to do. Waited for herO to push out and absolutely took advantage of it. Oh, Liberators are going to relocate. Okay, this one's coming in. Oh my god, huge EMPs on the Zealots. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be any capitalizing going on there. This army's split into two at the moment for herO. It's a bit all awkward for him. Drops down some High Templars, dropping down just a load of storms out of nowhere. Warp Prism dies though, so those High Templar are actually in trouble. Oh my god, the Vikings took so much damage to that. Archon gets protected as the Stalkers blink in. Now the Zealots off the left side are coming through as well. The EMP has worn off, the shields have regenerated. Planetary Fortress looks as though it's going to hold on. The Liberators are, well, they were unsieged. Now they're going to try and re-siege here as the Vikings are looking around to see what they can do as well. The Stalkers already blinked past the Liberators though, and so I think that's where a lot of this problem comes from. The last couple of Libs going down. FanTaSy is going to lose the fourth base again. He's going to kill two High Templar. And as herO exits the base. A couple of Tempests at the moment actually taking some damage. FanTaSy again is just taking a beating though. While his army supply is actually not that bad. He's just lacking in terms of the workers now. 42 to 68. No fourth command center is obviously a massive issue. You could probably lift and relocate this main orbital. Gas is mined out here. In fact, he is about to run out of minerals. So yeah, probably a relocation of the main base down to that low ground. But then he's fighting without a planetary fortress in that position. As he repairs up Vikings, still has a pretty reasonable air force. I think there's a fourth base back up and running for herO, for fifth base behind it as well. Obviously seems pretty strong. Ghost on the way out as Zealots and Archons move down to the bottom side. Two more Vikings, two more Ghosts being brought into play. FanTaSy running around the bottom left hand corner. There's an observer which is in range of the missile turret. Again, this is the problem, right? herO maxes out off of more workers, and so it becomes very tough. But again, the Liberators might just keep FanTaSy alive for a bit longer. But the thing is, defending these four bases is okay. Moving to the fifth base is then going to weaken his position, and he's really holding on because of his position here at the moment. Tempests are just missing the Oracle to revelate and to give them the ability to pick their way through this. EMPs are waiting to come down. Storm is dropping all over the place, although actually hitting a lot of Zealots. Looks as though it's not going to matter. The Tempests are going to get rid of the Liberators. SCV's already going down. There's just Zealots everywhere, man. These Zealots are just massacring. The triple drop on the bottom side is going to get the fourth base, and that's maybe where FanTaSy was just missing out. Having enough units to kind of hold the front line against the Zealots there. That's a recall into the third. The thing is, Zealots are picking off every single SCV at the same time, right? So, talking about 36 SCVs down. Yeah, it's going to be going to a game 3. So yeah, a series that goes the distance today. I mean, just because we had some really fast games as well. It's been a really fast day of StarCraft. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, guys. When we come back, our third and final map of the day. Third for map 3. Our decided map. Another nice large map. Could definitely get into a game similar to what we just saw. as we do have to the top left-hand side, tying it up 1-1. Blue Protoss player is herO, up against the red Terran in the bottom right, FanTaSy. Deciding map here. Remember, winning this already doubles your prize money from $250 to $500. And of course, from there you can win so much more going into the, or working your way through the playoffs as well, of course. So, gotta say, FanTaSy, I kind of like positions he got into in the game, and it felt like certain fights went well for him. But there was just that moment where herO attacked in and he killed everything, and that was just, I feel like there was just some point where herO maxed out that much faster because FanTaSy made some macro errors. And I really think that if he fixes those macro errors, then herO has a much tougher time that game, because if FanTaSy just has a little bit more to hold the initial wall with on the third base, herO doesn't just come in and slaughter all the SCVs, and then FanTaSy never plays from behind, and FanTaSy then plays a very frustrating style for herO to deal with. So third map here on Thunderbird, and see what happens is hero's been playing pretty aggressively. Again, tied up one apiece. Intrigued to see which of these guys are going to come out on top. As we'll see, Command Center dropping down. Nexus is on its way as well. Slide core also coming through at the moment. Warp gate gonna start. And again, that Reaper just moving now, gonna go up the right hand side of the map, so yeah, nothing too crazy just yet, guys. Just gonna be seeing the Reaper just still moving around a little bit. Nexus drops down. Reaper is just the general kind of proxy checking, right? So isn't eager to get across the map too fast. There's also a sentry really early on here from our Protoss player. So an Adept into a sentry, now a Twilight Council being built. So herO really changing up his style from game to game. Twilight nice and quickly, nice fast blink play. Always that possibility of sneaking in a Dark Shrine. Especially when he goes sentry so early. No, no priority on Stalkers apparently. But a sentry is always good as well, so you can still go blink after getting a sentry, of course. So yeah, Twilight finishing soon. The Reaper is still yet to access the base, yet to really pick up on any info. It's very tough here on Thunderbird. I mean, that pylon wars off on the Reaper jump-up path. So then there's literally just one entrance you have to stand the Adept at. So very difficult for FanTaSy to pick up scouting information directly. Obviously, indirectly, you can maybe figure out what isn't coming your way and just sort of see what units are being made. And, okay, if something hasn't hit at this time, then, maybe, it's probably not this, so maybe it could be that. That sort of reasoning down to figuring out what exactly is going on. As a hallucination comes in, kind of gets the full scout anyway, even though the Cyclone was well positioned to shut it down. Robotics facility comes in from herO as well. Adept gets a good couple of shots off. Reaper gets turned away. Then Nexus just on the way up. Pylon going to drop down too. And that blink just halfway done for the moment. Again, robotics facility is going to be completed in just a few moments' time. So that robo being done means that you can now get the observer up, prism as well, get some map control. Stalker's obviously going to take quite a bit of map control themselves. FanTaSy building tanks, building banshees and cloak, and my eyes are he's already got a third and fourth gas. I think he is potentially. I mean, he starts a Raven now. This could very well be an attempt to play mech from FanTaSy, and we saw it didn't work out really at all for him against Zest earlier. But then again, nothing really worked out for him at all against Zest, so there's definitely possibilities there. FanTaSy has a lot of gas income, and there it is. The extra factories will start to be built. So it is indeed going to be mech for the opening at least. 2 factories coming down, then a couple of depots going to help one off. What's up, Ron JK? Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. Sorry, I'm running out of energy a little bit at the end of the stream here today, guys. But thank you so much, Ron JK, for the Twitch Prime. Get some love in the chat for that. I really do appreciate it as we see the Banshee coming through and getting some probes. I mean, Observer is available. Let's see what the Banshee can get up to. It's going to turn to get away. That might just be a dead Banshee. Thanks to the low ground as well, yeah. It would have been better just going for the couple of kills. Is there a shield battery in the main? No. Could have gotten a couple of kills then. So that's a bit of a shame on that Banshee. Especially because he only made the one so far, but we did see him against Zest. He decided to make a couple extra. So still, you know, might see some more coming into play, and then that cloak will get more, you know, get more use out of it. Again, Raven Marine and the Cyclone hanging out and chilling out on the third base. Gonna see a supply depot dropping down to the left of the base as well. Charge coming up about to complete. Gonna see a factory. 2 more being added into play as those armories get to work on the upgrades. herO is coming across the map with these units and maybe looking to try and break FanTaSy right here and now before that mech army is really set up. I mean, you can see the army supply difference, 25 of it. That said, it's only 1 ramp to work with here. Stalkers might blink over these minerals though. This is really powerful already. You're going to see that first siege tank dropping. And obviously these mules and SCVs are in some trouble too. There's no blink up into the main available, right? That'd be really sick if you could have an observer in position to blink into the main. That'd be really frustrating to deal with. The observer is coming around the bottom side. I think the plan is to go into the main base. Oh, but he loses it to the missile turret. Oh my god, that's the most clutch missile turret I've seen in a long time. Well, the Stalker's going to stick around because the rest of the units are going in towards the natural wall-off now. So they're going to come in over here. They've already broken through, but with the auto turrets and the positioning, it's not going to work out. Man, that single missile turret has actually maybe saved the day because that observer going down. Imagine the Stalkers were in the main. There is nothing to deal with them there. We're still going to see an attempt of Zealots pushing up right now, so hero's pretty committed to trying to break through right here and now. We'll take off the tanks on the left-hand side. Stalker's going to blink through here as well. SCV's pulling forwards. More SCVs keep on dropping, but FanTaSy is still ahead in workers anyways. Oh, these couple of tanks, he is able to pull them away to keep them alive. Now FanTaSy is dropping a few more workers. These SCVs going down on the third. The Warp Prism going to be the high ground vision to blink into the main though. Another set of Zealots warping in. I tell you what, these units are very committed here though, of course. Very difficult for them to get out of this main. Stalkers can blink and maybe a few of the Zealots can lift into the prism. 31 SCVs killed. FanTaSy not currently mining from a third base as herO goes up to a fourth. The army supply and upgrades are still in FanTaSy's... Well, I mean, the army supply is still even, but he's playing mech against gateway units, so I'd say it almost favours FanTaSy. And the upgrades are obviously there for FanTaSy and they're not for herO, so that's a pretty big deal. 37 workers killed is crazy, and of course, again, just currently doesn't have access to actually mine from a third base, so even if he rebuilds SCVs, FanTaSy needs to reclaim that third first, and he's struggling with that, he really is. And of course, with a 20 worker lead now, herO will start to really take an advantage into his own hands. Macfield Accelerator, Infinite Reigniter coming in on these factories as well. Tanks are going to unsiege and going to be seeing that orbital command coming through towards the third base as well in a moment. So the relocation has occurred. These few Stalkers are still just being such a nuisance. Warp Prism into the main again. And again, just that combination of aggression in all the right places. Oh, I love the interference matrix. As the Cyclones lock on. That's a super dead Warp Prism. Really nice shutdown. Interference matrix means those units can't unload, and if they can't unload, obviously just very stuck in the prism, and that just means it's a super efficient kill. You don't even need ground units to truly clean that up. So no damage taken at all there. That was a nice little break for FanTaSy. Kind of almost what he needed. Tricky that FanTaSy isn't building too many more SCVs. I guess currently supply block, that hurts because the supply depots have only just started. Doesn't need the extra SCVs, stuck on 49. Alright, that supply block really hurts for FanTaSy, actually. It's really hurt. I guess he just called down supplies, so he's back on track. Again, he's not quite consistently building SCVs though, so be careful about that, because I think he does really need to get up to 60-ish workers at the moment. Stalker's going to pick off this alien on the top, blinking through. 5th base about halfway done. Dark Shrine halfway done as well here from herO. This is the thing, the fact that FanTaSy just has all of these bases is essentially just containing. herO has all of those bases. FanTaSy just being contained into 3. We'll see if he can break out with this mech army. If he can break out, well, maybe he can just walk across the map and win somehow, but it's not going to be easy. Hellions and Cyclones, well, they definitely have potential. They can carry a bit of an army in towards the siege tank fire. Even just the Hellions against Zealots do pretty well. Those force fields don't catch anything really, maybe one Hellion. Not as much as you would have liked it to be. Yeah, and FanTaSy makes some decent pickoffs to begin with there. He doesn't have a 4th command center, so no signs of moving towards that just yet. This is really nice. Again, a few lock-ons. Those Blue Flame Hellions will just destroy those Zealots, and that's one of the issues I think at the moment. What are you doing about the fact that these Blue Flame Hellions are just destroying your Zealots? And oh my god, these Stalkers, well, they'll be able to blink away. There you go, but the vision's still there. Oh my god. How much is FanTaSy going to kill? More Stalkers and Zealots replacing what's lost, but it's huge pickoffs for FanTaSy. Again, needs to try and still find a bit more though. Needs to find a way to move out to a 4th base. Again, Zealots killed by the Cyclone lock-ons. hero's army supply takes quite the hit. More and more mortals on the way. We're about to find 2-2 of his own. A Hellion run-by is going to find a mineral line of probes. Instantly, 14 workers down. The Stalker warp in. Felt very slow there. Cannon is up in this natural, but it's going to be a few more probes going down before those Hellions are dealt with. 19 workers killed. Wow. The main base orbital is going to come out to relocate to the 4th again. Again, FanTaSy just has not had a chance to build a 4th CC this game, but that army supply of FanTaSy is killing it so far. And yeah, I know FanTaSy was once to set up on the 4th, but I almost feel like going across the map might not be a bad idea. Raven has the detection as well, so DT gets dealt with instantly. And without a warp prism, it's very hard to get into this base without with the DTs, because they can't just run through anywhere else. And the Raven's just sat at the front, keeping position. Here, by the way, 64 probes is rebuilding from that loss, but really has brought the income back into possibilities for FanTaSy, who maxed out. I really feel like this is where FanTaSy should be pushing across the map, right? He's got nothing to wait for while being maxed out. herO is 30 army supply down. That's really going to hurt. Here's the Prism, here's the Stalkers. These are the units that can make something happen with the counterattacks, etc. I see the blink on a couple of them though. So will begin to unload. SCV's already going down. He's really quick to jump on this with the Cyclones, by the way. Like, it's very impressive just really how fast he got there. And slow to observe, but the Cyclones locked onto the Prism and kills that as well. I kind of feel like FanTaSy just goes across the map soon, man. He's just killed a bunch of Stalkers again. These are the Stalkers that are obviously on this side of the map as well. I don't think there's any reason for him to sit around. He's maxed out. He's got a bit of a bank, so as he starts to lose units, he can instantly begin to rebuild. Here you go. It's FanTaSy into the middle. Finds an observer as he starts to push across. Zealots are going through. Widowmines are going to get rid of a few of these Zealots already as well, though. Oh my god, and the tank shots on the Stalkers are already deadly. No counterattack set up at the moment from here, and without a counterattack, I don't know what he's going to go for. What's he got in here? Well, Immortals in the Warp Prism is going to try and flank into this army. Here goes herO diving in before the Widow Mines are ready to go, and Interference Matrix drops down. There's so many Immortals. And that's definitely how you engage this, right? It was a nice engagement of Immortals flanking in from the Warp Prisms. Here's the problem right now. Reinforcement becomes a bit of an issue for FanTaSy. The first fight that happens without FanTaSy being in a defensive spot, hero's going to take full advantage of it. Tanks firing away on what they can. It's just those Immortals seem indestructible at the moment. Their shields do not seem to be dropping at all. Cyclones go down. These tanks are going to go down, and it looks like that's going to be it. Hero cleans out the army. And now he's just going to sit on this base. He's going to pick off depots. Obviously, he's got a lot of reinforcements he can bring into play. Let's be careful of little things like those Widow Mines. Which do blow up a lot of Zealots again, but 18 SCV is already down. His base on the right side gets blinked on, so that's probably just going to die. Even if it lifts up here, the Stalkers should still be able to get the kills. Or the kill. Singular. Hero was really struggling here for a little while, but in the end, a very good engagement over here. The just engaging in before the Widow Mines were off cooldown again. The Immortal flanker actually turned out to be very important. Imagine if the Raven had hit the Interference Matrix on those Prisms a little bit sooner. That could have been game changing if the Immortals had never been able to unload. One final Widow Mine here. Gonna have a recall to deal with. Run by into a mineral line. 12 probes down. Stalker's blinking in. Gets one of the 5 Hellions. Hellions also heading up to the top here, man. I don't know if that's just a fortunate warp in or what from Hero, but if that was preemptive, if he thought about this army coming over, that's pretty sick. Maybe he saw it with an observer or so. FanTaSy back down on his 4th base. He actually has an orbital back in his main. Not sure when that was done, but either way, Stalker's blinking in, kind of just sacrifices all these first few Widow Mine shots. Now a couple of Zealots going down. There's just so much here, and it's going to be the big part. Obviously, these Immortals jumping in on top of the tanks. As the tanks go down, this really is it. A few more Widow Mines. Stalkers don't blink just yet. More SCVs. This truly is going to be just about all she wrote for FanTaSy. Will not be seeing FanTaSy advance through to the round of 8, unfortunately. Hero will make it 3 Protoss players in the round of 8 after 2 groups. And Group C tomorrow from 8:30 PM KST, 1:30 PM CST once again.